And now, ladies and gentlemen, the following panel discussion engages academic leaders of faculties of education in the UAE on the purpose behind and the benefits from proposed educational research and associations for GCC countries. So this panel discussion will include, and allow me to welcome at first, Professor Ali Ibrahim, professor at UAE University, and also Professor David Pedder, the Deputy Vice Chancellor at Emirates College of Advanced Education, and allow me to welcome Dr. Ted Purinton, the founding dean at Sharjah's Education Academy, and allow me to welcome Her Excellency Mahra Halal, the Director of the Regional Center of Educational Planning. Let's give them a big round of applause, please.
Good morning, and thank you for joining us for this discussion yesterday in a closed session of deans, other academic leaders, department chairs, scholars, researchers, faculty members, and so forth from across the GCC countries, from all countries represented, by the way, at this meeting yesterday. A second meeting in the development of the research association or collaboration between scholars in GCC countries, similar to the American Education Research Association or the European Education Research Association, took place yesterday afternoon. And the panel today is an opportunity for all of you to experience a little bit about what's going on in our thinking and why are we interested in pursuing this sort of relationship between researchers across GCC countries. So to my left, I have Dr. Mahra AlMutaiwei, the director of the Regional Center for Education Planning that is based here in Sharjah, a UNESCO organization. I have Dr. Ali Ibrahim, the acting dean of the UAE University College of Education, and I have Dr. David Pedder, the Deputy Vice Chancellor at the Emirates College for Advanced Education. So thank you for joining me. I'll start with my first question to Ali. Ali, one of the fascinating parts about academia is that you have, among many other activities in universities, such as events like this, you have teaching and you have research. And they go hand in hand. And oftentimes we perceive in academia, you can't have one without the other. What is the benefit of teaching to research? And what's the benefit of research to teaching? How does that work together?
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Ted, for having me on this panel. As you know, like 2-3 centuries ago, higher education institutions were teaching institutions, basically. But in the 19th century, they started to have the component of research. And actually, by having research integrated in with teaching, they advanced the experiences of the students so much and turned the process of teaching not only for knowledge dissemination, but knowledge creation as well. So research plus teaching, and now even we go further than research teaching, we go for service as well. So if you can think about it in 3 circles, they go together. Research, when you focus on research, you actually focus on innovation, you inform policies, and also you advance a society. And we hear a lot about research and development, if you know. So currently, the most influential universities are those that focus on the research component. And we hear a lot about research-intensive universities, if you heard about that. And even research itself is advancing so much. So I'm talking about my experience at UAE. We care a lot about research and publishing in very high indexed journals, like Q1 journals, and also Web of Science and so on, Scopus Index. But we shouldn't forget the basic role of the university, which is to prepare the students for the future. And in order to prepare them for the future, research can have many benefits to the teaching process itself. When research is integrated with teaching, The students will gain fresh knowledge. They will be more engaged. They will know exactly what's happening in their disciplines, and you will create researchers out of them as well. So their skills will be enhanced. Their knowledge will be current and relevant, actually, and you prepare them for the future. And when you engage students in even undergraduate or graduate students in the research, and when you focus, your focus is on teaching that's driven by research. In fact, this is also improving your own teaching quality as a teacher. And I will leave you with one idea that I heard like 15 years ago. For any professor or faculty here, you have to think about the 3 cycles of teaching, research, and service. This is our role as faculty members. But when these 3 circles come together in a Venn diagram, you have to focus on the 3 of them and the integration of the 3 of these circles. And the best to do is to focus on the part that combines all these 3 circles. So your teaching is supposed to be driven by the research you do as a faculty member, and also your services are supposed to be connected with what you teach and what you research on. And I will stop here because the time is very limited. Thank you, Ted.
Thank you. Mahra, your center produced a report last year on the state of education research in GCC countries. And one of the main goals of it was to show that we need to do so much more to connect research to policy and practice. We produce a lot of research, but how do we make sure that it makes a huge difference in our teaching and learning in schools and in universities? What are some of the needs that we have that we can address in GCC countries?
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بداية أنا أحب أشكر أكاديمية الشارقة على دعوتهم للمركز الإقليمي للتخطيط التربوي للمشاركة في هذا المؤتمر، وأشكر بروفيسور تيد على دعوته الخاصة لنا لطرح نتائج الدراسة التي قام بها المركز الإقليمي للتخطيط التربوي حول أولويات البحث التربوي في دول مجلس التعاون. طبعا البحث التربوي هو أحد محاور عمل المركز الإقليمي للتخطيط التربوي، فكنا نشتغل على أساس الأولويات التي من الدول، لكن قلنا نحن نحتاج إطار إلنا وللمؤسسات التعليمية وكذلك للمراكز البحثية تستفيد من نتائجه حتى نستطيع جسر الفجوة بين تطلعات صانعي القرار في وزارات التربية والتعليم والسياسات وأيضا الباحثين. طبعا من أهم الأشياء اللي وجدناها في التقرير بداية أن نحتاج البحث التربوي ومن البحث العلمي عموما والبحث التربوي من ضمنه إلى دعم مادي كبير. معظم دول المجلس التعاون نسبة الصرف على البحث هو لا يتعدى 1%، بينما في المنظمات اليونسكو مثل اليونسكو والمنظمات الدولية المؤشرات تشير أن يجب أن يكون المؤشر هذا من 2 إلى 3 من الدخل القومي للدولة. فبالتالي نحن محتاجين نجسر الفجوة المادية ونقدم دعم بحثي أو دعم مالي للبحوث وخاصة البحوث التربوية. كذلك أيضا وجدنا فجوة بين توقعات الباحثين وتطلعات صانعي السياسة. كنا من ضمن الأدوات اللي استخدمناها الاستبانات الخاصة بالبحث، فوجدنا أن 75% من الباحثين يعتقدون أن البحوث التي يقومون بها تخدم السياسات التعليمية ويمكن أن تبنى على نتائجها سياسات ومبادرات تعليمية تطبيقية، بينما صانعي السياسات كان لهم رأي آخر. 42% فقط من صانعي السياسات وأصحاب القرار في وزارات التربية والتعليم وجدوا أن البحوث التربوية تخدمهم في بناء السياسات. فهذه الفجوة يجب أن تردم أيضا من خلال النقاشات والمنصات المشتركة والتعاون المشترك بين المؤسسات التعليمية والمؤسسات البحثية. كذلك وجدنا الأولويات البحثية الخاصة بالباحثين. لما سألنا صانعي السياسات ما هي أهم المواضيع اللي تحتاجون الباحثين يشتغلون عليها، فأعطونا 5 أولويات اللي هي عبارة عن المناهج والتقييم، الدراسات الاستشرافية لمستقبل التعليم، القوى العاملة في التعليم وتطويرها مثل المعلمين، القيادات المدرسية وغيرهم، كذلك السياسات التعليمية، جودة التعليم. لما رجعنا للمجلات المحكمة والمنصات البحثية المنشور فيها البحوث، وجدنا ما يعمل عليه الباحثون، الأولويات اللي يعمل عليها الباحثون هي التعليم العالي، التعليم العام، التدريس، وتكنولوجيا التعليم. فهناك اختلاف بين ما يحتاجه صانعي السياسات وما يعمل عليه الباحثون. فنحن من خلال هذا البحث وجدنا أنه يجب جسر هذه الفجوة من خلال أولا فتح منصات نقاشية وتعاونية بين الباحثين وبين صانعي السياسات. أيضا يجب أن يكون هناك مشاركة أو مؤتمرات أو منصات أو ندوات مشتركة بينهم حيث تعرض النتائج الخاصة بالبحوث. أيضا يجب على الباحثين العمل على تصميم البحوث ونتائجها بشكل يصل إلى أصحاب القرار من خلال ملخصات، من خلال استخدام وسائل التواصل الاجتماعي، من خلال أدوات مختلفة. شكرا.
Thank you. David, in the collaboration of researchers across institutions and perhaps across countries, what can an association or a collaboration among researchers or institutions in very different locations, in different environments, what can that type of organization or structure do to help education researchers be more impactful with practitioners? How can this sort of association that we're looking to develop make a difference in the classroom and in schools for children, for teachers, for learners?
Good morning, everybody. It's a joy to be here, as it always is when academics like me come into contact with a wider ecosystem of educational engagement. And this question about what can if I can contextualize this through the aspiration to establish a Gulf Educational Research and Development Association, we might refer to it as GERDA. What can a Gulf Educational Research and Development Association do to support faculty make their research more impactful? And I myself am a scholar of about 40 years doing traditional research, ensuring that research informs my teaching, on the assumption that research-informed teaching lends to students who are aspiring or serving teachers or aspiring and serving leaders the best, most rigorous, most valid, and most reliable knowledge. And I've always had the question mark behind that model, that intellectual model. So what? So what is the impact of highly rigorous, scholarly advanced research and knowledge creation? So one comment is that the Gulf Educational Research and Development Association needs to take its traditional scholarship seriously and be seriously dissatisfied with what that knowledge can perform on its own. There are far-reaching consequences for this, because I believe the traditional Venn diagram model of teaching, research, and service, very important, but not enough. It needs to be reconfigured. So how to support researchers across the Gulf have impactful research requires universities, policymakers, teachers and leaders in schools and students in those schools come together in new forms of partnership to construct new forms of research and development projects that are informed not just by epistemologically and ontologically justifiable research questions and methods, but practically useful research and development propositions that will lead through the process of the research, through the design of the research, will lead to impact in situ. And whether in situ means across the country of Bahrain, across the country of United Arab Emirates, or in this classroom, or in this cluster of classrooms, that research may not be left merely to academics in universities. Research needs to be owned as a facet of policy development, practice development, school improvement, as well as writing for publication and the advancement of knowledge. So I have 3 ideas for what the Gulf Educational Research and Development Association can do. One is, don't assume that we know how to research practice. Don't assume that we know how to observe teaching, interview teachers about observed teaching, survey teachers, large numbers of teachers about their practice, engage students into the research process. We are too complacent in the confidence we have that we know how to do that. So the Gulf Research Association can replenish the population of researchers with ongoing methodological training focused on practice. And perhaps some of the methodological training can be delivered by non-academics, practitioners and policymakers. Second, universities need to be at the center of building networks and partnerships and inviting faculty into active participation in those networks. To participate in networks with an outcome of high impact research, final point, requires boundary crossing. So academics like me need to learn the language and practices of policymakers. Academics need to learn the language of practitioners in schools. Teachers in schools need to learn some of the language of academics in universities, and so on and so on. How to do that? By ensuring that organizations like the Gulf Association for Research and Development include in its active membership and leadership policymakers, practitioners, and we can consider students as well in the membership. So my comment really is this: universities need to build partnerships and networks and engage through open windows with policymakers and schools. The Gulf Association of Research and Development, if it's going to be responsive to the practice and policy needs of this area of the world, needs to have those high impact agents at the heart of its decision making. I think I'll leave it there.
Thank you. And we are out of time, but thank you very much, David, Ali, and Mahra. Next year, we will hopefully report back to all of you on what we've accomplished in this upcoming year with this association. Thank you very much.